Traders, welcome back to another price session trading lesson. Let's talk about today's price session. The market opened around this area, which means this entire structure is the pre-market structure that we have to analyze before the market opens. I can see that today's session started with bullish uptrend because I can see a series of high highs, high lows, EMA pointing up, and I can use these geometric formations of the lows at the bottom to draw a channel which is getting confirmed here. However, you can see the channel fits fairly well, but there is overshoot. There is break to the upside, which is indicating overbought territory. And in price session, overshoot can generate strong momentum in the opposite direction, or it can even reverse the market. So once you see overshoot, you can almost count that you're going to break the channel. And sometimes, in some cases, you can almost reverse the entire trend. Now you can see overshoot generating strong momentum, and we had larger two-legged pullback, which market likes to move in pairs of twos. This is what you want to do. You want to train your eyes to spot the two-legged pullbacks, because a lot of times market really creates these two-legged pullbacks. And there's also a smaller two-legged pullback inside of the main one, which you can see confirmed the trend line, created a profitable scalp, but the overshoot eventually broke the channel, and now the uptrend formed a couple pushes to a new extreme. So this is the pre-market structure that I'm looking for, uptrend with the break new high. So right now, I'm not really looking to go long just yet because I have a new high for the uptrend and the bullish channel played out. Since this is also overnight session, I'm going to mark my overnight low and overnight high, because these important key levels may be very important if the structure is going to be trading range. A lot of times, these important key levels like the low of the day and high of the day may come into play later on throughout the day. So what's going to be important now, what's going to happen in the market, is how strong this bearish reversal is going to be after new high for the bulls. And look, the bearish reversal is very minimal. In fact, this tight channel created a break and new extreme, followed by extremely strong push above EMA, which is indicating to me that there is some strong price level being formed. So I'm just going to identify the support. Why am I doing this? Well, because right now, look at the EMA, completely flat, multiple price swings swinging up and down, up and down. So this is indicating to me that this is looking like a trend range. Since I'm playing a trend range, I want to follow the short-term channels because I want to follow the trend line rule, which says after break and a new extreme, there's correction or possible reversal. And here we have an uptrend, break new high. According to trend range rules, most breakouts will fail, and there's a brand new downtrend working lower, followed by a break new extreme. Now this also is not only a trend range, but this can be characterized as weak bullish uptrend, because weak bullish uptrend is basically a trend range with a slight bullish tilt. Weak trends in general have very strong bearish pullbacks, and it makes it look like it is a form of a trend range with just a slight bullish tilt. You can see you can approach it with uptrend like this. Generally, I don't like playing these wider channels because you can get trapped going long here on a wide channel, but you can approach it the same way as a weak bullish uptrend. This is definitely a trend range with a bullish bias. You can see bullish imbalance because each new major low is higher than the previous one. So you can see market is slowly but surely chopping higher. And now the downtrend had a break new low, which is indicating to me that bearish momentum played out. Okay, so I'm not really looking to sell. I have a two-legged pullback. Can I sell? No. Like we said, there's a break new low. It is consolidation right before the news. All I have to do is just sit on my hands. As you can see so far, not easy price session to read. And this was typical for today's structure, which I want to talk about this briefly. Not every single day you're going to get super easy context to analyze and super easy price session to read. And in fact, there are not going to be that many setups sometimes. And this is the fact that you need to be comfortable as a trader, because trading should really be boring, should be mundane, and you just have the checklist that you want to go through if the setup is forming as you're expecting. First, you need to have your context down right. You want to understand the market context. Then you want to have your key entry point, and then you want to take a high probability setup. So right now, the context is unclear. It just V-shaped reversals up and down, up and down. So I'm not doing anything. I'm not really guessing. I'm just waiting for price action to develop. News came in, tested the support, and notice this important support generated a lot of buying pressure. A lot of buyers deeming this price level worthy buying. So since I'm in a trailing range, I want to buy low, sell high. And you can see I can even move a little bit higher because the range highs have moved a little bit higher. So since we're coming off the support where you want to buy low, and the wider channel needs to get new extreme if you're focusing on the weaker uptrend. Prices are pushing above EMA and I have new low, first entry short, pullback, second entry short. I'm not counting for second entry short to go short. I'm counting for second entry short to fail because I want to go long, because everybody right now going short on the second entry short on the wrong side of the EMA is going to get trapped because we're bouncing off the lows. We need to get new high and move to the upside. So this is a failed second entry short. Look how great this bar looks. At the start of this bar, it was very bearish, and at the end, it reversed to the upside, indicated by this big bullish stem. It is above EMA, it is inside the channel, so this is a high probability setup, the first high probability setup that follows the context. It is at the proper key entry point, and the setup is a high probability setup. So you had to sit here quite a long time to get a nice setup. Eventually you form double top, overshoot generating extra momentum, and it managed to reverse the market combined with a double top. So now that I see the market is trending to the downside, I of course need to identify a brand new downtrend again. So you can see the price action is following the short-term channels. There are always these short-term channels: break new high, reversal, break new low, reversal, or let's say correction, break, there is no new high because there is overshoot, and now you have a downtrend working lower. You can see how these candles are fitting neatly inside this channel, followed by a break and couple pushes to an extreme. So once again, the downtrend played out. And this is important because this is indicating that we're no longer looking to sell, combined with the fact that you are at the low of the day important key level. So buyers are going to be buying, shorts are going to be covering their positions, taking profits, and you have break new extremes. So you're not really looking to sell. I'm going to redraw the uptrend, reset the count, first entry short, pullback, second entry short, failure. Can I take this failed second entry short? I cannot. Notice how far away it is from the EMA and how high you are buying. It is too late. It needs to pull back to the EMA. So this is definitely not a great failed second entry short. There is, let's say, continuation of the failed second entry short, which worked for a scalp, not a bad setup, but single bar is a little bit neutral and you're not fully touching the EMA just yet. I was expecting second entry long, never formed because market already created new high, and now it got confusing again. Because downtrend has a break new low, uptrend has a break new high, there is some small resistance forming, EMA completely flat, a lot of sideways price action, and this is once again, just like you did here, you have to ask yourself, what is the bias? Well, the bias is very unclear. Is there any decent key entry point? Not really. So you just have to sit here and let the price action do its thing. I was expecting more failed second entry long given how strong this push down was. It never formed, so just a lot of sideways price action. You can't go long directly into these highs, and eventually you have very strong bullish pushback up. So finally, as you can see, after sitting this congestion out, the bias is right now resuming because you broke above the middle of the trend range and you're way above it, which right now, since you're so past the middle of the trend range, you're most likely heading to the high of the day and not to the very bottom again. So this uptrend needs to get new high. I'm going to reset the count. You have first entry long, pullback, second entry long, so far away from EMA. We have a congestion here, 10 bars stacked, 12 bars stacked right next to each other. I can't really enter here because this is indecision. And look what happened. We have first leg down, pullback, second leg down. Downtrend played out with the break new low, and we have a second entry long. So this is why market likes to move in pairs of twos, and this is why we're training our eyes to see the two-legged pullback, because this is right now possibly going to be a high probability setup. And this is not only second entry long, but also another high probability setup. It is a failed breakout out of this consolidation, because most breakouts of trend ranges will fail, and this small little consolidation is nothing else but a smaller type of a trend range, which means most breakouts will fail. However, the single bar closed below EMA, and there is no tangible key entry point just yet. So it is more aggressive, I will mark it, because you can see downtrend played out with the break new low. You have two separate legs down, and it is a failed breakout and a great bullish bar. And the bias right now is bullish. Now we finally are getting information from the market that we're breaking up. But like I said, there is no key entry point, a little bit aggressive. After we bounce here, I was expecting high low confirmation setup, and this is what you're expecting if you're not sure with the second entry. it may be formed a little bit stacked, congested, or whatever. The bias is not clear. The higher lows and lower highs are confirmation setups after you push above the EMA here. But there was no higher low. However, bias remains bullish. Now, once I saw this bounce, this is where I was looking for a couple of channels. I can either draw uptrend like this, but this is extremely flat. By the time you get to the resistance, remember, channels need to get new high. So this is what's helping me to distinguish which channel I'm looking for. Because once I was watching this live, I was looking for channel more like this. Because this is much steeper. And why am I looking for channel like this? Since it doesn't really fit that well here. Well, because remember, channel has to get a break eventually and a new high. And if the channel is too flat in the trend range, by the time you get a break, you already passed the midline of the trend range and the trend is shifting. So if I'm gonna draw this channel, which is very wide, something like this, think about it. If prices even manage to go here, you're already at the middle of the trend range, coming off the highs. So chances that you're gonna bounce from the middle all the way here are not that high. So for that reason, a super broad channel is really not that helpful. Eventually, there's even a better channel to be drawn because this is where really the uptrend started. Once you get this bounce here, you don't have to be perfect, but you have to be close. I was even playing this channel, but basically it gets you to the same place. All you need to focus on that the bias is bullish, EMA pointing up, and EMA keeps rejecting prices after the second entry long. So I'm not overcomplicating it. I'm going to reset the count, and we have new high, first entry long. There is a micro second entry long here, one tick higher. But it is above bearish bar, which we are not interested. We have to buy only above bullish bar, and it's far away from EMA. So technically, second entry long form above this bar, but it's a horrible signal bar. So this will be technically double trap. But you can treat this as a visual second entry long, visual to like a pullback, just like here. And a great signal bar, and right at the EMA, right at the key entry point. So this is a great high probability setup. So you can see how you have to approach the price action. You cannot get flustered by the fact that there are areas on a chart just like here or just like here without easy to read price action and a high probability setup. Your job as a trader is to make sure you're reading the context properly, you got the right bias, right key entry point, and only then you can look for high probability setup. And you're observing if it's forming at the key entry point, if it is congested, how the signal bar looks, and this is all you need. You don't need much. Notice you have a nice failed second entry short here, 13 points worth of a runner. You have a nice two-legged pullback here, and look at the gigantic run you could have gotten. So you don't really need much. You don't need to be over trading. Every single day there are 2, 3, 4 easy high probability setups that you can spot, and you need to accept this fact, because if you don't accept the fact, you're going to be needy for setups. You're going to be forcing setups because you feel like you need to take setup now, but sometimes it's okay to sit here for quite a time before a new setup will form. So you can see 2 key entry points, great signal bar, two-legged pullback, and look at the runner and look at it go. We just have a bunch of first entries working higher, no good pullback at the EMA. Then I have to redraw the downtrend just like I'm drawing them here. They all have break new low, but this downtrend has a break, no new low. You can see trend line coming into play. This is the key entry point, but there is no setup. We have a congestion. Look at the stims, dojis below EMA. 6 bar stack right next to each other. There is no setup for us to take. I wanted high low here, but the signal bar was bearish. I cannot go long by bearish bar, and by the time I get bull bar, it's too big. So flat EMA, a lot of consolidation, just nothing clear. You would be expecting new high, but there's just nothing we can take here. You have to be patient. Everything is too congested. Eventually market reversed, which was quite surprising, but notice market came back and tested this important key level. This is why you're trying to always mark them and follow them, because this is what can happen. You have a small overshoot, test of the important key level, buyers are coming to the market, you expect a new high, but it was not reached just yet, because this is where the FOMC news came in, and you don't want to be trading right around the news. There was really no great setup on the way up, because you have a failed second entry short, but it's way below EMA. There's no good setup here. You know, you get the news, so there's really no great setup. And this is where market got really unclear. As you can see, V-shaped reversals, a lot of up and down. There is no way to tell you what is the bias. Nobody really knows what is the bias here. You cannot really force entry here. You cannot gamble. So you're just swinging up and down in the middle of no man's land. Eventually, market continue pushing lower, followed by a break and a new extreme for the downtrend, which is telling us that the downtrend played out with the break new low. So we're not really looking to sell this two-legged pullback. Notice, two-legged pullback, but downtrend played out. And also we have kind of like a first leg down here, second leg down here. You can see market likes to move in pairs of two. The first leg here, two-legged correction, and the second leg here. This is why we're observing the two-legged pullbacks. There was a tempting failed second entry short because downtrend played out and you pushed above EMA, confirming the bullish momentum, but it is too congested. The second entry long, once again, too congested. It allows us to confirm the wider uptrend, which means we have to reset the count. And we have first entry long, second entry long, two-legged pullback, support is forming, horrible signal bar. What is the setup you're expecting? High low. Here, you're expecting high low confirmation of the second entry long because uptrend needs to get new high. Downtrend played out with the break new low. You have larger two-legged pullback indicating depletion of the correction. Strong push above EMA confirming the bullish momentum, confirming the second entry long, but there was no tick lower for high low. So market formed two-legged pullback, new high. If I'm going to zoom back, you can see there's a little bullish imbalance. We didn't make it to the support, so I cannot sell just yet. In fact, I was leaning more bullish. I have a second entry long here, which worked for a scalp, 10 ticks easily. But since you have the second entry long after new high, you really want to take high low as a confirmation setup after new high, which formed here, but once again as a bearish bar we cannot take, so there is no setup. Same here, high low bearish bar, no setup, and it's too congestive at that point, so there's nothing really for us to take. Eventually key level held and market strongly reversed down. Okay, so key level is holding. We're not continuing to the upside. Strong push below EMA, new low, first entry short, pullback, second entry short. Great bearish signal bar, right at the EMA, new low, first entry short, second entry short, form of a two-legged pullback like this. And of course, now it's getting way too late. But we can see we have uptrend working to the upside. Break of uptrend. I'm going to redraw the downtrend. Break, new low for the downtrend, indicating that the bearish correction played out. And once again, first leg down, pullback, second leg down. This right here is the second entry long. Of course, this is way too late. You don't want to be trading by any means. But this is just to show you how the price action rules are working, because this channel has a break. You expect retest. You're at the key entry point, and this is a two-legged correction. So overall, not easy price action to read at all. No clear buys here or here. Definitely here. You are rewarded for your patience. There are a couple of these easy setups, and that's pretty much all you need. If you just manage to catch a couple of these setups with some really big runners, you don't really need to be over trading. So hopefully you had a decent trading day. It was pretty short today, but nothing really much for us to discuss since there was a lot of indecision. You can see a large trading range overall. So good luck in your trading, and we'll talk to you next time. Take care, everybody.